Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well today, and if you're new to my channel, welcome. On the agenda for today, we are comparing the cities of Atlanta, Georgia and Washington, D.C. Both cities are very influential and powerful cities that help to determine the direction in our country. Atlanta is the most powerful media and cultural hub in the Deep South, and D.C. is the home of the nation's capital and the center of the political power and influence of our country. Today, we are going to examine the nuances between these cities to determine which one may be right for you. Atlanta has a bigger metro population, but Washington, D.C. has gained a greater percentage of population growth than any state over the last decade. I know they're not a state, but I'm just making a comparison. People are moving to D.C. for a combination of reasons. They have good paying jobs, great entertainment options, and because of an ever-expanding federal government. Atlanta has always been a hub for entrepreneurship and innovation, and you will still see it attracting the best and brightest minds to the city. The median income in Atlanta is just under $60,000, and the median home price is just over $300,000. While in DC, the median income is a whopping $86,000, many people will still choose to rent because the median home price is over $660,000. The average effective property tax rate in Atlanta is 8% lower than the nation's average, while DC's is 49% lower. Hopefully, DC's lower taxes can help to save your money with their significant housing costs. The income tax rate in Atlanta is just under 6% for any income earned over $7,000, and Washington, D.C. earners will pay between 4 to 8.95%. The sales tax in D.C. is a moderate 6%, while Atlanta's climbs to around 7 3/4. Both Atlanta and D.C. have places that are expensive, but they also have another side of town that doesn't live the rich lifestyle. In fact, both places share in this dichotomy of wealthy and poor and dangerous areas. The violent crime rate in Atlanta is 144% higher than the national average, and Washington, D.C.'s is 113% higher. When numbers start to get that high, you are really going to want to delve into the types of crime being committed and where they're happening most often. Property crime is 148% higher than the nation's average in Atlanta, and in DC they're just 81% higher. So basically, neither are great when it comes to crime. While DC definitely has some rough areas, Atlanta averages out to be more dangerous. When it comes to diversity, Atlanta and DC flip convention on its head. Both Atlanta and Washington have a large black population, and this heavily influences the culture of these cities, especially in Atlanta. Both cities have around 50% of their residents that are black and under 40% that are white. But the biggest difference is likely that DC has a bigger Hispanic population. In Washington, D.C., the culture and lifeblood of the city is based on politics. Politicians, charity workers, and lobbyists converge on this influential territory to shape the country's future. Atlanta is widely thought of as the black community's most successful city. This city is one of the leaders in black entrepreneurship, industry, and influence. Atlanta's culture is based on business, music, sports, and centered around the local churches. Both cities are very unique, and their cultures aren't for everyone. But you'll like either of these places if you are someone who enjoys diversity, business, and hustling for a better life. Atlanta and DC are definitely left-leaning towns. In fact, Joe Biden won Fulton County by over 46%. The state of Georgia has been tightening for years, and much of that is due to people who are disproportionately liberal moving to the Atlanta area. In Washington, D.C., Donald Trump managed to only win 5% of the vote, but the crazy thing is, he actually didn't underperform. No Republican has earned 10% of the presidential vote since George H.W. Bush's first campaign in 1988. To give you an idea of just how liberal D.C. really is, President Trump's worst state performance was Massachusetts, where he got 5 times more votes than in DC. If you are a liberal, these places are likely to share many of your core values. However, if you aren't liberal, the DC metro area may not work for you. Georgia does have some areas nearby that are moderate or even conservative, but Washington is very, very Democratic. The climate in both places will be warm and humid for large stretches of time. In fact, Atlanta's nickname is Hotlanta. Even though Atlanta has a reputation of being hot, Washington averages a bit higher temperature in peak heat than Atlanta. They both have similar amounts of sunshine, average highs and lows for the year. But where they are different is precipitation. In Atlanta, they receive 52 inches of rain, whereas DC only receives about 42 inches. But the primary distinction is that Washington, D.C. will receive 14 inches of snow to Atlanta's 1. So, if you hate the snow, D.C. does get a significant margin more than Atlanta. Atlanta is known for having incredible Southern cuisine and restaurants with home-styled meals. They have a great music and club scene. Atlanta has many gorgeous parks and nearby destinations. Enjoy Piedmont Park, walking through the Beltline, or cheering on one of their sports teams after learning more about American history. There may be no better place to explore history, art, and museums than in Washington, D.C. They have enough exhibits to keep you entertained for a long, long time. But don't think D.C. has the market cornered on great history. Atlanta has one of the most underrated historic venues in the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Park. Now, I went here as a kid with my family and a group of friends, and it's an experience I still cherish to this day. In the world that we live in, with so much division, it's really important to remember how far we've come as a country. If you're looking for non-historical fun in DC, check out places like the Botanical Gardens, gourmet restaurants, and get out on the water or into nature, like at Rock Creek Park or the National Arboretum. Also, Washington, D.C. is a traveler's prime location. There are many big cities in close driving proximity, and both Atlanta and D.C. are usually pretty reasonable for flight costs for much of the year. So, let's put it all together. DC's median income is higher, but Atlanta's median home price is less than half of Washington, D.C.'s. You are also likely to save on taxes in Washington. Atlanta is a bit bigger, but they have higher property and violent crime numbers too. Both cities have high levels of black residents, but the distinction between these two cities is that Washington, D.C. has a larger Hispanic population. While both places are liberal, D.C. is the most liberal entity in the entire country. Atlanta gets a bit more sun and rain, but D.C. has more snow. Both Atlanta and Washington, D.C. are intriguing prospects with a growing population, and it will be interesting to see how their growth affects the desirability of these locations. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and leave a like down below. Check out the rest of the videos in this series, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. If you have any questions or anything to add, leave a comment down below. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And everybody, take care.